Hey guys, Luke here, Tranquility Based Detailing. Welcome to the Detailing Show.
Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Yes, sir. Reading you loud and clear. Clear. The clock has started.
The clock has started.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So welcome to the first episode of 2018, in fact the first episode of series number 2 of the Detailing Show. If this is your first time with us, there are many ways to support us here at Tranquility Based Detailing. The first, the easiest, the most straightforward is exactly what you're doing here today, which is watching one of my videos. So thank you to those new and existing viewers. You can go even further than that. You can leave a like, you can leave a comment, you can even subscribe, but hey, that's all up to you. If you want to do it, great. If you don't, I'm cool just the same. So thanks for being here. Now, in this episode, I'm going to summarize at the end, as I try and do anyway, but I need you guys just to think about this as you watch the episode. This right here is Harry Houdini. Most of you guys will know, in fact, a lot of you, all of you should know who this guy is. But I ask you, how many of you guys know that this one here is Howard Thurston? Why is this relevant? Stick with us to the end and I'll explain. So coming up in this episode, TBD is going all highbrow with our first foray into the exclusive world of Mitchell and King. The good people at Waxplanet are going to see how much more gloss they can squeeze out of one of their waxes. And finally, the good people of Monstershine have sent to me a Mitt, a monster, and a camel of all things. So we're going to kick off with Mitchell and King. This here is their winter wax. It's called Fortitude. It's available in 2 sizes. You can buy either a 50ml, which is the one you see here, which retails at £45, or you can go the whole hog and buy the 200ml jar. They're limited to 45 units, and you have an option in terms of how you buy them, so singular or with a kit, case, so on. But you're going to be looking price-wise for the 200ml starting at £185. So at the richer end of what we normally do here on the channel. But like I say, a lot of people have been asking me, are they worth it? We'll find out, and I'll give my opinion right at the end on that very question. The other 2 things in the episode from Mitchell and King, we have their Exile, which is a spray-on pre-wash. This retails at £21.15, that is for a 1 litre bottle. And also their Snowfoam, exactly the same cost and size, £21.50 for a litre. The Snowfoam is listed as more of a gentle clean, probably aimed more at the summer months. But it's winter, I've got 4 months of grime, so we may as well see if they can tackle it. So why don't you take a watch, enjoy, I'll see you on the other side. So, Mitchell and King, purveyors of fine wax, handmade in the UK, proud British and Scottish brand. I tell you, I was a little bit excited when these things turned up. I was really keen to see what they do and really sort of what they're capable of. And certainly they had a test on their hands. They were going up against 4 months or so of winter dirt and grime. So really, and particularly for the pre-washes, really had their work cut out for them. But we started with Exile. So Exile, as you can see here, it lists itself as very strong. Wet the panel first, sprayed directly, nothing above the midway point. Really, you could spray this all over. It's just really aimed at clearing all that real thick crud at the bottom. And no longer than 30 seconds dwell time before rinsing. So I kept my eye on this like a hawk, came to rinse. Now this panel, very interesting, you can see the division sort of where I sprayed up to and stopped. And I thought, that would give a good demarcation of its effectiveness. And it was really apparent that this thing was potent, it was strong. So that's the sort of before. This is the after just here. You can see where simply I hadn't sprayed it onto the other parts, and even on that same blast of water, didn't really fetch anything off. And then this is down the sides. For me, it was a great start for Mitchell and King. I was sort of, like I said, keen to find out, will it stack up? Will it hold its own for the price? And straight out the bat, it was giving me a big resounding yes. These are products that do work. In terms of Exile in use, the scent, I couldn't really put my finger on one, but it wasn't equally a bad scented product. But yeah, in use, a very good start. That 1 litre bottle, quite a weighted bottle, good trigger head on it, although full disclosure, I put the wrong trigger head on it. But I've tried the other trigger head since, and Mitchell & King provide it with a really nice spray trigger with a really nice, good, even pattern. And if you're going to go around a whole car with something like that, you don't want the sort of spray head that's going to involve a lot of work. You know, these really small, fiddly ones that are really from the cosmetics industry and not going to play into its own. So good thinking from Mitchell & King on that. Then onto the Snowfoam. Now, ideally in the winter, you know, you'd use these two in conjunction, but what I'd done on this side, on the driver's side, is I'd use the pre-wash and then the snow foam, and then on the reverse side, just the snow foam. And the snow foam really, it tells you itself, it's a gentle cleaner. In terms of dilution ratio, it's in the 1 to 10 sort of side of things. And just because it's Mitchell & King, I went for some pinky action. I went all posh. You have to treat yourself every now and then to a bit of an occasion, and this was one of them. But yeah, it diluted down 1 to 10, and it's sprayed on. I didn't have the foam lance at full open on this one, so although this is thicker than their previous version, and if you have a look on Mitchell & King's website directly, you can see as a thicker snow foam goes, it can lay on quite a thick blanket. But for me, you know, I tend to want a snow foam that will move, that will run down the panel, that will wet the dirt and really get into it. So I had this sort of at the halfway point, and it left a good foam, you know, the sort of thing that I like personally. You know, although the thick foams look pretty, they don't always clean the best. But with this, it gave a nice, good foam, adequate cling time. Particularly in the summer, you know, something like this where it's a little bit more wet is actually going to play in your favour comparative to a dry snow foam. But yeah, this gave me time to get around the car, got some tight work done just as it ran away. And as you can see in the close-ups here, there's, you know, motion in what it's doing. It is running down the panel, and that's all going to help just to break down and get into the dirt. In terms of the lifting ability for the foam, like I say, paired up with the pre-wash on this side, it did everything that you'd want to as you know, a pre-wash combination. On the far side, where I used just the foam on its own, it lacked the cut to get right into the winter grime. But like I say, fair's fair. This is 4 months of salt and you know, all sorts of garbage that are on the paint. And the snow foam doesn't claim to be dealing or claim to sort of deal with that. It's really very much more of a gentle cleaner, ideally suited towards summer cleans, maintenance washes, dust removal, and things like that. But yeah, these are the finished. So really, all in all, a very, very good pairing. And like I say, $21.50 per 1 litre bottle. So if you are after scooping them, that's the price. Then on to Fortitude. Very important. Let's get the pinky. We're staying posh with this. This has got to be, I would say, about the dressiest pot that I've ever had a wax in. Really, really eye-catching. I mean, it's, you know, the sort of thing where on the shelf it stands out, and it seemed a bit of an occasion. And again, excited to try. The wax itself, a hybrid wax, very, very firm in the pot. The pour was smooth, no cracking, anything like that. If you wanted me to nitpick and I think, you know, if anything is at this price point, I almost kind of feel a little bit entitled to almost look for something that's wrong. And the worst I've got for you is that little white pot that's within that crystal pot has a slight bit of a wobble when you're just scooping the wax. And that's really as bad as it gets. So that should tell you that, you know, Mitchell & King are looking at all of the fine details with this and, you know, making sure that everything is sharp and in place. So the wax itself in use, like I say, quite a firm wax. So load the applicator, give it, you know, a little bit of a scoop, but you certainly don't need to dig in. On application, very much bear in mind that with this as a wax, and you know, and I'd imagine this is with any Mitchell & King wax as well, it is almost an occasion to use it. It is sort of a special thing, unless, you know, you've just got money to burn. That's really the part of it. And, you know, even on the packaging where they're saying, you know, make sure the carriage is in, you know, a shade environment, things like that. They're very much giving you this theatre that I love with detailing. But it's not the sort of wax that you can go on with speed. And by that, I mean, you know, you can't just sort of bash this on, run around. It has some feel to it under application. You know, it doesn't go on as slick or as oily as, say, a show wax would. But by no means was it difficult. You know, it was still a pleasure to use. But I had to almost remind myself, because it was the first clean that I'd had in so long, and, you know, even time was against me, to savor the process. And, once I'd sort of slowed down and just took my time and, really enjoyed it for what it was, I had a real good time using this. It was a real nice experience. I did find that if you wet the applicator, it helped with application just to be a little bit slicker and quicker. But like I say, who's timing you? If you're not on the clock, then don't worry about it. You can just apply it and have a really nice sort of pampering session with your car. I think is probably the best way I can put it. In terms of water behavior, you can see it is good, very sharp. In terms of what they put in this, with it being a hybrid wax, has some natural silicone in it, they say, according to the website. But this was the bit that really stood out for me, was the gloss in the finish. Very much a synthetic gloss, like a sealant, that sort of thing. But I was expecting that really to be dialed back in favor of the durability, and it just wasn't. The finish for me, I really did rate. I really did love. Like I say, again, comparing it to a show wax, didn't quite have that warm, wet look. It really was, I think the right way to put it would be a real nice synthetic gloss to it, and one that I really liked on the finish of my car. That's everything. Back to me in the kitchen. So that's Mitchell & King. In summary, all lovely products to use. I found that pre-wash Exile to be immensely strong. It did a fantastic job, exactly what you would want, particularly at this time of year. So, for me, £21.50, a bit strong on the price point, but a very effective product just the same. So if the budget allows, why not scoop one up? The Snowfoam, as you could see, it didn't cut through the worst of it, but equally we're not expecting it to do that anyway. You typically want something stronger, citrus, or like their Exile pre-wash, just to do the lifting at this time of year. And the wax, I really enjoyed it. As you can see, the gloss for me really did take me by surprise. You expect with a winter wax, and this one, it's rated at a 6 to 8 month durability on Mitchell & King's own statistics. You tend to expect that the finish is going to suffer because the durability has been so boosted, but it was lovely to see that wasn't the case here, and it towed that fine line between gloss and hopefully longevity just the same. We're going to move on from here onto Monstershine, so let's take a look at what they've got. So Monstershine have sent me 3 of their utility products, that is to say a wheel mitt, a wash mitt, and a drying towel. The drying towel is called Humpfrey the Camel. It retails at £14. It's a plush, a deep pile drying towel. You're looking at a 60 by 90 centimetre towel here, so a good manageable size, hopefully speaking, when we take it to the test. And of the plush variety, it's really very thick. Of the 2 mitts, they've sent a wheel mitt, which is called a wheel mate. Now this thing here, £6.50. It's real pocket change territory for this one. Is it worth it? Yeah, £6.50. We spend that on postage and packing, so stick one in your basket next time you're buying something from Monstershine and find a use for it. It's very interesting in that it's got a dual-sided setup, so you've got a soft microfiber side, and then on the reverse, a textured rubberized side as well, which you can use to get into tyre walls or some more aggressive dirt on your wheels. We'll see how it fares against a good build-up of wheel grime on my car. And finally, the Spaghetti Monster Mitt. Now this thing is huge. On Monstershine's website, they say that it is approximately 5 times the material volume of those standard noodle wash mitts. It is massive. Will it play in its favor? Will it play against it? Let's find out. So the Monstershine Trio. This is the wheel mitt. That is the textured side on the reverse, and like I say, on the flip side, it's got the microfiber. This is the huge, almost car-sized wash mitt, and this is Humphrey the Camel himself. So yeah, we'll start off with the wheel mitt in this, and this for me, it's very much, if ever you've tried a Wowo clay mitt, it's got that same shape to it, so that pointed shape, you can get your fingers right into it. And that dual textured side, I was really curious about, and keen to see what it could do. Now, the way this is constructed, you've got a big slab of foam in the middle of this, so it actually holds quite an amount of water, which is really reassuring in use with your wheels. Particularly, you can see all this grime, and this is after sort of jet washing and I've applied wheel cleaner and so on, give these a good thorough rinse. But yeah, you can see how much water the mitt is able to hold, even for its small size. And I like the size of it because it gave you very much that fingertip control. I was a little bit lost with sort of my thumb at a point, and that's just old habits for me. But yeah, the mitt itself, it really, really did sort of make it easy to get around the back of the spokes and really get involved. It was tactile, it was agile, and it did the job. After I'd used the microfiber side, gave everything a rinse down, I went in sort of inspected, and that's where I busted out the textured side. Now, the textured side, it's got a rubberized texture on it, and Monstershine say you can use it to clean the sidewalls of the tires. I did try that, and it does do that. For me, I typically always favour a brush and some all-purpose cleaner, but yeah, it can do that if it is just sort of a quick wipe over. But the textured side really came into its own for a couple of spots on the wheel where a little bit of extra grime was stuck, and it needed just a bit of extra agitation. And for me, it was sort of the standout feature of that product was that textured side. I really do think that there is a place for that in the market, and at the price that they pitch them at, absolutely. Second up here is that Spaghetti Monster Mitt, and you can see the size of this. I mean, I don't have the biggest hands anyway, but yet very, very massive size, and again in comparison to the bucket. Now, in use with this one, once you get the thing dunked, it holds in approximation. You can see the water level about to drop in my bucket there. So I've got a 15-litre bucket. Well, it's filled with 15 litres of water. It goes beyond that. 3 litres at a time going into this, and it carried a lot of weight. So I worked on the flat panels first, the roof, the rear window, and so on. And you can work those really, really easy, particularly with your hand in there and using it as a mitt. But what happens when you come down to, then having to work the sides, I decided to try and use it more as a pad. So I took the cuff in, used it as a pad, and I felt this gave me more control, actually. I enjoyed it more that way. The one thing that is a little bit counterintuitive is because it holds so much water and how big it is, you find yourself not revisiting the bucket as often. And I'm not sure if that plays in its favour or not, because really it means you're not rinsing the dirt out of your mitt as often as you maybe habitually would have done. Now, whether that's caused any extra marring or anything like that, I didn't test on the day. What I did find is I was using this was the weight in use. So particularly when I was getting down here, it was a game to sort of control it so I didn't contact the floor, which also was giving me sort of a bit of pressure on the lower back, I have to say, with the weight of the thing. And halfway through sort of cleaning the car, it was getting me, a bit of a sweat on and a bit of an ache. And I have to say, I parked the thing up. It's going to suit some individuals, but I have to say for me, it didn't suit the process as I do it. And I have to say, I then parked it up just to leave it to dry. And then talking of drying, went on to the drying towel. And this is very, very plush, very deep on the pile. It doesn't list exactly the GSM on Monstershine's website. I'd guess easily it's going to be over 1,000 GSM on this one, and that's comparing it against other similar styles of towels that I've got in the kit bag. So yeah, very, very deep, very plush, incredibly soft. I saw no linting on the panel, which was really nice, as with some of these you need to wash them before first use. But with this on first use, no linting, even when I was checking it against sort of the glass and things like that. No smearing, no issues in that area. And very, very competent, given the size and the density of it. Dried the whole car on a very, very cold day. We are getting condensation on the panels, things like that. And it took it all in its stride. So very, very good at what it's designed to do. And for me, ticked, the boxes that I want ticked from a plush towel. Very easy to control, very easy to manage, and just an all-round nice experience and a nice towel. So this, for me, of the three pieces, the towel and the wheel mate, for me, big hits, and the wash mitt, not so much, just for the reasons I've already given. But yeah, this is the close-up of the towel. This is after it's dried the whole car, so that, bear in mind, this is, as sodden as one car will make it. So you can see, the fibers aren't glued together, they're not sopping wet, it will hold a lot of water. So really nice towel. Anyway, back to me in the kitchen. So there you have it. To quote, I want to say Meatloaf. I'm having a moment of doubt because it's late. To quote Meatloaf, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. It's probably not even Meatloaf. I'll look that one up. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I really, really like the wheelmate. I think it does a great job. I did miss a thumb. I'm used to a mitt, not like that, just where it's this. I did miss the thumb. I can get used to that. You know, it's something that I can work on. The real standout part for me was that textured side. You know, the soft microfiber side works. It's bringing nothing new to the market, but the textured side is a little bit different from what I'm used to. And I really do feel it has a place on some of the grimier jobs on your wheels. Now, with that comes a little word of caution. Anything that's a little bit more aggressive in dealing with dirt is going to be a bit more aggressive on your paintwork. So if you do have wheels that are very easily marred, particularly, you know, these gloss black wheels as an example, then maybe a little bit of caution is required. But equally, you have that dual function where you can clean the tyre walls with it just the same. But yeah, the wheel mate for me at £6.50, it's a little bit of a bargain. If you are buying from Monstershine, stick one in the basket and tell me if I'm wrong. Now, the drying towel, for me, it's competing with, I mean, if you watch the channel often enough, you see I use the Drinker from Into Detailing, and these two are really on a par, and I really do rate that towel. It's my go-to plush drying towel. Now, with the Monstershine one, it doesn't bring anything additional to the market, but it's in a stuffed market. It's in a very competitive market anyway, and it works. It does the job. So for me, it's not changing anything from what is available. However, if again you're buying from Monstershine, you're looking at any of their chemicals and you need a new drying towel, then I can confidently say you can buy it and you will not be disappointed with it. It does a fantastic job and works exactly the way that you'd want a plush towel too. If you do have delicate paint, you have really those thinner twisted pile towels that you drag across the paint. With these, you saw that I was laying it flat and doing more of a patting action. You may find these to be a little bit more forgiving on that paint finish. So why not £14? Go and scoop one up from the good people at Monstershine. But finally, the Spaghetti Monster Mitt. For me, it was just too big. It was too heavy. I think that showed when I was using it. This thing holds an immense amount of water, 3 litres approximately speaking, on each dunk. Now, you'd think that would play in its favour, but also what it does is it loads up so much weight into it as a mitt. So 3 litres of water is approximately speaking 3 kilos in weight. And then you've got that when you're working the lower panels down towards the sills. For me, I could almost feel it tugging on my back, and it disagreed with me. It disagreed with what I was after from a mitt. The size of it, I think, would play strongly if you were washing things at speed. And even on Monstershine's website, they say that's what it's for. A lot of water, a lot of speed. But with detailing, you tend to want to tail that back a little bit and go for more of a controlled clean, less of a quick clean. So if quick is on your agenda, absolutely buy one. It's £9.50. If, however, control, manageability is more what you're after, then I have to say this mitt isn't for you the same way it wasn't for me. That's, in summary, about as fair as I can be for it. It does exactly what they tell you it will do. It holds a lot of water and it covers a lot of surface area. It's down to you whether or not you have a need for that. So moving on to the final section of the show, which is Waxplanet's Refraction. So this is their latest offering. It is a hybrid wax, a semi-synthetic. According to Waxplanet themselves, they're rating this a durability of 4 months. So it should see you through a solid winter, all being well. Granted, I've applied it in February. We'll just ignore that bit. It's available for 200ml at £50. It is treading a fine line between gloss and durability, much the same as the Michelin King one at the start of the show. But let's see how it does.
So I'll tell you what, you wait 4 months to wax your car and then 2 quality waxes come along at the same time. So my car was lucky enough to get the Michelin King treatment on the far side. And then on the near side, it got Waxplanet's brand new Refraction. So stoked to try this one. It was sent to me as a pre-production pot. So just to get this out of the way early, if you think, what is that? It's neither a panel pot nor the retail version. But the goodness inside the pot is exactly the same as you guys are able to get now at retail. Scent on mine is a sweet apple, like a toffee apple scent. So very, very pleasant to the old nostrils, and one I quite enjoyed sniffing as I went around the car. In terms of loading up the applicator, the wax is quite firm itself. So what I did ultimately was I just oiled it up a little bit on the surface just with a fingertip, and that seemed to help load the applicator nicely. And then it went on really, really smooth. It had a real refined feel to it. A slight grab in terms of application, which was remedied with a damp applicator. I found that made it just a smoother wax to apply, or an easier wax to apply. But by no means would I levy the word difficult on this in either form. It was still a very, very straightforward wax, really. In terms of the curing time, what it tells you on the pot, if you have a look at the instructions on Waxplanet's website, it tells you to judge according to condition. So in terms of my conditions here, it's around about 5 degrees. I gave it quite a while to cure, and really just kept an eye on it, give the panel a swipe, and made sure I wasn't over curing. But it's difficult in these colder climates, that sometimes what you can do is undercure the wax and then end up not so much removing it but buffing it around with your removal cloth. So it's something just to be mindful of. Sometimes you do just need to give it a little bit more patience and a little bit more time. Conversely, if it was baking sunshine, you might need to go the other way with this, with how they describe it. Maybe it's one that can cure quick under the very hot conditions or very humid conditions. In terms of removal, very, very straightforward. Really, really nice removal. You could feel on the panel, sort of the swipe of the cloth where it had a little bit of pull, and that was sort of remedied very, very quickly by the second swipe. So no complaints there. Nothing that really could be tweaked or improved in any massive measure. In terms of the finish it left, it was a very, very glossy finish, and I say this in comparison to a lot of the other Waxplanet waxes that I've tried. It was very high on gloss. It wasn't so much the warm, that sort of carnauba depth that you can get, but more of that sealanty type of finish. And in all fairness, with a similar descriptive makeup to the Michelin King, I'm going to use the same term again and say, very much a synthetic gloss to it. They did seem a comparable gloss level. But yeah, I was really, really pleased with it. Very difficult to sort of split between the two. But all in all, I thought it suited the silver very, very well. I did, and I would be keen to try this, but I did try and line up a darker color card to try this on. But I would love to try it on a darker color and then just get some pictures up for you guys on Instagram and just see what you think. But yeah, in terms of overall finish, this is after just a single coat, as that's all time allowed. I really, really did love the finish. I thought it suited the lighter color very, very well. In terms of water behavior, very, very sharp at the beading side of things. So the protection was obviously there, and left some big heavy beads. And since point of filming, as a lot of you guys throughout the UK are aware, we've had nothing but snow. So with both of these waxes, it's great to see that they're both holding up well after a good, what is this now, 10 days of salt and snow and all sorts of horrible nastiness on the car. But yeah, for me, it was a really nice, lovely wax to use, and another win, another success from the Waxplanet stables. But yeah, if you're interested in scooping a pot, by all means, links are below. If you've got any questions, queries, ask away. I'll be happy to answer them. And I guarantee if I don't know the answer, then Tony at Waxplanet will have them for you. Just enjoy these last few beading shots. Try to be a little bit arty. And then back to me in the kitchen.
So in summary for that one then, a very, very competent wax. And I'm going to keep this specific to Waxplanet, and I've tried almost all of their waxes at this point. There's just a couple that I'm missing, I think. I would say it is the least easy Waxplanet wax to use. Not difficult, I'm not saying difficult, I'm saying the least easy out of theirs. And the reason I say that is that the Waxplanet waxes are a breeze to use. But with that, if you're going to grade them as a breeze to use, you can then fine tune within that and say, this one takes a little bit more effort to apply and remove than its fellow stablemates. Now, the gloss boost that you get is there. It is evident. The trade for you when you're buying one of these waxes from Waxplanet is which is priority. So I would advise, if you want something that is easier to use, then I would go for maybe Obsidian or White Noise. If you want that all-out gloss, then absolutely go for this. You won't be disappointed. And at the price point as it is, £50 for such a big pot of wax, it's a great buy anyway. It is very, very good value for money. But yeah, check them out. Links are below. So those that have stuck with me to the end, I'm sure you're all wondering who, well, Harry Houdini. You all know who he is. Who's Howard Thurston and why is it relevant to this episode? Now, since announcing that I was going to be reviewing Mitchell and King, a lot of people have been messaging me, a lot of people have been asking, Luke, is it worth it? Is it worth the money? People don't do that so much to me for the Waxplanet ones, and it got me thinking. And for me, my background, or one of my other hobbies is magic. I've done that a lot longer than I've been involved in detailing. This, as an analogy, for me was going to suit this episode perfectly, and I'll explain for why. In his day, in Harry Houdini's day, let's start properly. In Harry Houdini's day, the greatest magician was Howard Thurston. Now, you fast forward all these years to present day, I guarantee the majority of you know who Harry Houdini is, and almost none of you know who Howard Thurston is. Now, why is that? The reason for that is that they both had different goals. They both had different aims for what they wanted from their magic, from their performance, and from their life. Now, look at it this way. Howard Thurston, the greatest magician of his day, wanted to fill seats. He wanted to fill auditoriums. He wanted to get bums in, watch his show. His show was slick. It was entertaining. It got people talking. And that was his aim, was to fill as many seats, to sell as many tickets, to make as much of this as possible, and to retire happy and comfortable. Harry Houdini went the other way. Now, sure, Harry Houdini came from a vaudevillian background and he was a performer. Wasn't the greatest magician, wasn't as good as Thurston, but Harry Houdini had his mindset on legacy. He didn't care so much about selling the tickets. He just wanted people to remember after he was gone who he was. Now, how did he go about doing that? He spent his whole life manipulating every situation, every detail to his benefit. And I'll give you as an example, and it was the one for me from his life when I was reading his biography that stood out the most out of all of these different ones. Harry Houdini was traveling to Australia to perform, and he bought a plane. Planes were new, but the guy had money, so he bought a plane, took it with him, and he took it with him because it was the first plane in Australia and he could be the first person to fly out there. Now, while he was out there and he's out there with his entourage, one of his entourage crashed the plane into a farmer's field, burst into flames, the guy died on impact. Now, most people don't know that existed, or that situation happened, that the guy died, unless you look into his life. But what Harry Houdini did was what he did for his whole life is he hired and brought down the press, and they came and took photos, and he leaned next to this wreckage and he said he crashed the plane. He was the guy there, crashed the plane, escaped unscathed, not a mark, not a dent on him. They ignored the fact, Houdini ignored the fact that someone he knew was charred, burned, dead in that wreckage. He ignored that because he knew that all the newspaper headlines were going to be that the great Harry Houdini can even escape death himself. And these things built legend, they built myth. Now, how does that apply to this show? If you've not figured it out already, they were both magic in what they did. Now, I would liken the Mitchell and King situation very much to the Harry Houdini one. They have built themselves a reputation, a legend, a mythology. Are they worth it? You'll never know until you're in a position to financially buy them. Now, don't get me wrong, when you do buy them, you won't be disappointed. The majority of you won't be disappointed. But they have very cleverly crafted themselves a niche as the premium, the prestige, the premier wax maker of the UK. And they've done it expertly. It has been a bit of a masterclass in really finding their way to their own place in the market and their own unique selling points. And don't get me wrong, the details are there, the wooden boxes, the engraved name tags, the kits, the flight cases, all fantastic. The service, all first class. The products become almost secondary to the experience of buying from Mitchell & King, to the experience of owning one, to the ability to say to someone you have a Mitchell & King wax, or even better, a collection. It gives you a certain amount of, a certain cachet to what you're doing. And that is what Mitchell & King have done brilliantly, in my opinion, in the market. Now, the magic of Waxplanet, and they're very much the Howard Thurston in this story, is they've been able to take all that a top level wax brand, and I mean that in terms of cost, they've been able to take everything that you can get from a high level wax, and they've made it ridiculously affordable to the point where there's some magic in that. How they've managed to take gloss, finish, ease of use and cram it into something that is so damn affordable is impressive. Now, ultimately, when you post up on any of these forums or groups, have you tried Mitchell & King, there will be a select few that can actually tell you that they have. And it's talked almost in reverence and in silent whispers about what they do. And that will perpetuate and propagate that legend, that myth of Mitchell & King. When you say, have you tried Waxplanet, there is a myriad of people that say, yes, I've tried it, it's brilliant, it's awesome. So you will see also that both are fantastic products and both have their reputation, but there are far more people that have tried Waxplanet and will rave about it than there are people that have tried Mitchell & King. And I don't think, hand on heart, that either manufacturer would want it any other way. So for me, that's the brilliance of both of these manufacturers. And I think they should both really be held in their regard for what they've done to the market and where they've placed themselves respectively. Are they worth it? That's ultimately going to be down to you. Buy one, tell me, find out for yourself if you can. Post it on the forums, the groups. I don't think you'll be disappointed, I really don't, but ultimately the only way is to know yourself. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Be sure to check back soon for the next episode of Homebrew. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.